Hey guys, Chairman here, back with another quick deck profile. So I've been recently helping a local game store startup, White Shorts, and as a result, I'm often asked the question, so if I don't play the game or if I'm just collecting, what is the easiest way to get into actually learning how to play the game and also playing a deck that is easy to learn but also pretty competitive and fun to play, doesn't just like roll over and die to, actual decks. And so, yeah, I realized that we're kind of outdated on this channel for information regarding like a good budget and accessible deck for players. So here we are, we're going to be answering that question today. And the answer is, as it has always been, the answer is Hololive. So Hololive is just so good for a beginner set, not only because the trial decks are really, really strong and have complete comprehensive strategies, but also because the actual booster set itself came with some really inexpensive upgrades that you can basically just pull out of like a bargain bin or like a bulk pile if your store has bulk, and you can just like get it for dirt cheap and immediately your deck becomes way better and actually competitive. Like a lot of the modern Hololive decks aren't really running high rarity cards at high numbers, so yeah, I think Hololive is just the easy answer. And today I'm going to be giving my updated Hololive budget deck profile. The previous one that I did with no double rares, that was when Hololive first released and when we didn't know what was the best Hololive build. Back then we all thought Rushia was the best finisher, and it turns out that Rushia is actually not the best finisher. And so we will be going over the current modern 2023 best Hololive budget deck profile. And yeah, so basically all you do is you buy 2 TDs. And the TD that you buy, unfortunately I don't have it on me, but you buy Generation 4 TD. You buy 2 Generation 4 TDs to get the Kanta combo and the level 1 Luna combo, and you do play the level 1 Luna combo because the combo is actually quite good, especially if you're not going for a climax combo finisher like I am. And yeah, so that's basically the bulk of your deck. So from the Generation 4 TD, you will be getting 4 copies of the Coco Brainstorm. Your Brainstorm of choice, you want it always in your back row because it gives power to your level 1s and level 3s. And we run 4 because we just want to double on this for our back row. We don't really need to play any other back row in our deck. And we also want to double back row as early as level 1 so that our level 1 Luna gets power. You will also be running from the trial deck 3 copies of the Helmet Kanta. You don't need the 4th one. It's not really a strong beater, so 3 is usually enough. And it's really easy for us to get this card because we have the level 1 combo. Speaking of level 1 combo, we are going to be playing 4 copies of the Luna combo. Luna combo is like severely underrated for some reason. This combo is like really good. She is naturally big because she's a level 0 on board, and with the Coco Brainstorm she'll be sitting at 7-5 on both players' turns. Of course, since she's a level 0, your opponent can just side her for quote-unquote free advantage, but that's not really a bad thing necessarily. Especially like if they can't kill it and they side it and you still stay at level 1, you just play combo again and you just reverse them and then you just get more advantage for free. Yeah, and so her combo is really good because you can stack the climax. So you play the Stock Soul, and then on one of your Luna attacks you can send the Stock Soul from stage or field to waiting room to give herself and another card the on kill salvage. And generally speaking, you only really need 2 salvages in this deck to get all your pieces that you need for the level 2 game. So you don't really need to resolve like multiple copies of the Luna combo. It's like Luna and like something else, and then like that's usually enough advantage. So but we're still playing 4 copies of the Luna just so we can have like big beaters at level 1 and actually have something to do. Level 2, of course, we are playing the Kanta package, which is 4 of the counter and 4 of the level 3. I mean, obviously just really good finishing combo. Kanta Marine is by far and away the best Hololive deck currently in the meta, and it is largely due to the Kanta part of the Kanta Marine. Marine is good in like every other Hololive deck, but Kanta is what makes this Kanta Marine deck the best, right? So it's definitely on the shoulders of the Kanta. I don't think I have to explain why this combo is so good. Play this at level 2, change it in level 3, get advantage, get stock, heal, you loop it very easily. Let's go. We are playing 8 copies of the Stock Soul. So I used to think this was bad, playing so many soul triggers, and then I have since learned the error of my ways. Honestly, when Hololive first came out, we were still in a period of time in White Shorts where advantage was still pretty important. So it was not great back then to give up advantage on your triggers and triggering large. But now everybody knows how to play with advantage really well. The pace of the game is really quick. Games are over way faster now than before. Like before, weiss games usually took like 6 to 7 turns. Now games are like 4 to 5 turns, which is like kind of scary. And so damage is way more important than any other resource. And nothing gives more damage than 2-soul triggers. If you trigger a 2-soul trigger, your opponent is potentially staring down very scary amounts of damage, especially on first deck. And having 8 of them means that we're just constantly threatening tons of damage in the early game. In the mid game with our Kantas, what we can do is we can side attack. And then when we trigger the 2-soul trigger, it gets decreased by whatever our opponent has. And so generally speaking, like Kanta will need to side if our opponent is also on level 3s or on like level 2 so that we don't get anti-change countered. So those 2-soul triggers means that when we side there, we side profitably. So like in the mirror, basically whoever triggers more 2-soul triggers on their side attacks wins. And so by playing 8, we basically have a really good shot of winning the mirror. Yeah, so that's basically all that you're getting from the Generation 4 TD. There's also the level 3 Watame and the level 0 Watame that are really good in other decks. So great pickup there. And you also get the level 0 Coco Clean Cut, which is also a great pickup in other decks. So Generation 4 TD is like far and away the best value you'll get from any Hololive TD in 2023. So go ahead and pick those up if you can, because that stuff's just amazing. Next thing you do is you just want to go bargain bin diving and pick yourselves up 4 copies of Aqua. Aqua is, you know, just the craziest comment ever printed, honestly. I think this is actually just the craziest comment ever printed. 3,500 in the center, so just huge, and then gives you advantage on death. Also fixes color. The crazy thing about this deck, we actually need Aqua and not La Plus. A lot of modern decks are playing La Plus because they want more yellow. In our deck, we want more blue. We actually have enough yellow with the Coco Brainstorm. We usually clock one of them. We need blue in this deck because our top end does require some blue. So yeah, kind of crazy. Aqua is actually the correct play in this deck, and we just run 4 of it. Pretty good. All right, next we're playing 3 copies of Aki. Aki has been a recent addition to Kanta Marine. I say recent, I mean like 2022 recent. But basically, yeah, people realize that, wow, like salvage is really nice. Being able to clock yourself more is really nice. And so Aki is really a staple in a lot of Kanta Marine decks. And is going to be a staple in our deck for the exact same reasons. Gives us options to salvage our level 1 and level 2 pieces whenever we need to. Also gives us ways to clock and hit ourselves to level 1 and level 2 respectively to get the power spikes that we get when hitting those levels. All right, next we're also running 2 copies of, I'm playing the Iroha, which is from the premium booster. It's like a pretty easy to find card, pretty cheap, but this is basically a drop searcher. You can play any of the many drop searchers in Hololive, whichever you get your hands on. Honestly, you could play the promo ones. The ones that search from deck and are like big in center. So like if you like the Holo Ian characters, you can play those. Iroha's great. I think there's another one in premium collection, I forget. You can play the Miko from Generation 0 trial deck if you have your hands on those. Basically, you just want some drop search, some ability to search your deck, and Iroha is my choice because I also like her ability to look at the top 2 cards of my deck and choose which card to trigger, because especially since we're running the 2-soul triggers, this basically gives us a lot of potential damage modulation towards the late game and even in the mid game. So that's kind of why I like it a lot, but you could run literally any drop search you want in this slot. We're running the Koyori Climax Swap because I like the extra soul. Again, just very aggressive. You can run any of the other Climax Swaps. There are like 4, I think. I actually don't know how many Climax Swaps, but there's, off the top of my head, there's the Watame one that comes in this trial deck, so you could probably run that one instead. There's the, I think there's like a red one. I don't know, man. There's like so many Climax Swaps. Just run whatever Climax Swap you can get your hands on. Oh, there's a blue one. There's the green one, the Luna. You can run the Luna one too from the booster set. Just one Climax Swap, that's all you really need. And then finally, 1 copy of Bales. Okay, so Bales is kind of important. You kind of need to run the Bales because it's on play, on death. You get the ability to look at top 3 and add anything. Previously, we were playing like the Mel, which was like on play, pay 1, discard a Hololive, and then check up to 4. But this one is basically check up to 6 because it's on play and on death. You have to pay an extra stock, but it's so worth it to have it on just like one card. And the extra stock doesn't really mean anything, but being able to dig 6 is like really important. So yeah, Bales is kind of the best of her kind. It's not like a side grade if we're running Mel. But if you don't have Bales, you can just get Mel. But I mean, it's so easy to pick up I think it's really easy to pick up the premium collection characters, so shouldn't be an issue. All right, 2 copies of the Luna 1-0 from the booster set. It's an uncommon, just like a secondary attacker at level 1, and it has the we call it the JC effect, but basically whenever something else gets fronted, you can pay 1 and send this to waiting room to bounce the thing that gets fronted, and that's like really good for you know, keeping our cards alive, especially. So it's like really nice if we can't get triple Kanta to go like double Kanta 1 of this Luna. And so like if our opponent feels like a bomb, or if they actually get over 15-5 and they can kill the Kanta, we can just use a Luna to bounce it, and we'll always have the Luna effect online because our back row is always double Coco. So yeah, and then also if they have like an IMA effect to shrink our Kantas, we can shrink the Kanta into like a Luna to give like all our other characters protection. It's like a really cute play that like my friend Jeffrey came up with this deck, because he played a very similar list, but he would play the Kantas, and if they double shrink 2 Kantas, he would shrink them into one of the 2-1 and one of the Luna, and he would use the Luna to bounce a 2-1 back to hand, so he would like get a 2-1 back for the next turn, which is like really cool idea there. So yeah, it's just like a great secondary attacker at level 1, because we do want to have some kind of pressure. This is like, I think this is what this deck does better than Kanta Marine, is that like the level 1 pressure in game is like way stronger. You're actually like boxing your opponent out at level 1, you're taking less damage, and you're potentially like pushing more damage, so that once you get to your Kanta turns, you're already like considerably ahead with this deck compared to Kanta Marine, where they have like the finishing power. All right, we're playing 1 copy of 2-1 Toa. It's a rare from the booster. It's very cheap. Basically some disruption, additional back row, but also mostly we're playing this for the disruption to drag one of our opponent's characters from back row up. So once we win board, we can use this to force them to lose resources in their back row as well, which is really important. And then we're playing 2 additional counters, the Hashima counter, of course, and the Suisei counter. So the Hashima counter is our rest counter. We use this mostly at level 3, sometimes at level 2, but basically this is just like don't die to like a finishing combo. And then we use Suisei to win the board at level 2 against other early play decks. So yeah, this is kind of our disruption suite. We use this, and then obviously we're salvaging the counters as well. So a lot of defensive tools at level 3. Now, I'm not running a level 3 combo, as you can see. We're running level 1 combo, level 2 combo. And so you might be wondering what our level 3 game in this deck is. And here I will show you the magic of Hololive. Hololive has so many good cards at so low rarity that the remaining cards of this deck, there's 7 cards left that we haven't shown. They're all different. They all do a different role in the deck, but they all contribute to having like one of the strongest in-game toolboxes you can possibly have in like any deck. And so this is the part where like I have the most fun, because they're all different, and like I get a toolbox against my opponent and like pick the right card for the exact right situation. And Kanta lets me do that because she gets to salvage anything from my waiting room. So starting off, we play 1 copy of the 3-2 Watame. Great at level 2, but also great at level 3 to get rid of our opponent's cards. If they're low on deck, we can use this to send a card to the bottom of their deck. That's 1 clean damage, so it is kind of aggressive, but it also mostly at level 2 to clear up boards and win the board there at level 2. 1 copy of Noelle. This is our cheating 1 double rare of the deck, but honestly Noelle is like super cheap. I don't think her double rare is worth that much currently. Might change after Hololive 2 if they give like this Noelle like more support for some reason, but you definitely want to pick them up right now while they're cheap. She can come out at level 2, gets huge anti-backup, and just basically kills a lane for free. And then also on attack, you can pay 2 to IC tell your opponent's bottom 3, but then it's not per climax burn, it's burn if they have a climax. So just really good if your opponent is like down to low deck and you know they have climaxes in their deck. This is just like a really great way to pull out 1 climax. Like let's say they're like three cards left in deck and exactly 1 climax. It's not really worth the stock swap them at this point. But then the Noelle is really good in that specific instance, and also is really good at level 2, again, just to beat over like big boards if we can't beat over them with Kanta for some reason. Okay, and then on to the actual level 3. So we're playing 1 copy of Flare, so Noefure right next to each other. So Flare is a really good finisher, probably the best finisher in our deck. On play, cancel burn, and then on play, pay 1, send another Hololive from field to waiting room to get an additional instance of cancel burn. So she gets 2 cancel burn 1s, and it's really good because we're usually winning board with the contest, so that means we get a direct lane, and we also have extra contests on the board that we can use to send for Flare's effect. So Flare usually will be able to direct for 3 or 4 depending on if we have the climax and whatever trigger we get, and then they cancel that, they take burn 1, burn 1. So fantastic card. Is really one of the best cards in this deck, an ideal finisher really. We're also, alongside her, we're playing one copy of Calliope. So Calliope is also a cancel. This time the burn is a Musashi burn, so we mill the top card of our deck and burn equal to that number +1. Since we're running a lot of level 2s and 3s, that number can potentially be quite big. We're also running a decent number of level 1s. So like this burn is actually like substantial. We're only like on 18 zeros, which is not that much, and we're gonna level 1 of each of these. Just want like 16 zeros plus the climaxes. So you can expect Callie's burn to actually be a pretty decently sized number. And so along with the Flare, we basically run these into our direct lanes. If we direct, Callie's more likely to cancel, and so if they cancel, then they take the Callie burn. If they don't cancel, well, they just took a bunch of damage. So yeah, Callie and Flare is great when we're winning the board, but sometimes we don't actually win the board. Like either they like bottom deck, they use some kind of effect to win the board, but if they're small on defense, or if they have units that they like hand encore, we can use the new Suisei from the premium collection. So Suisei is on play, draw 1, gain 2k power, and on kill, you can pay 1, ditch 1 to burn 1. And so mainly running this for the extra draw. So like sometimes if we're playing like a very aggressive game, we're not actually that big on resources, and Suisei giving us that extra draw is potentially useful. But also just, you know, if our opponent has a character to kill, we can do the on kill burn 1. And if they don't have a character to kill, then we can be directing, right? So basically just choosing between these finishing options depending on what our opponent has. Next, we're playing one copy of the 3-2 Bolton. This is the main reason we're playing blue. This is definitely the best of our blue level 3s. And this Bolton basically punishes our opponent when they mill down to 1 card left in deck and we know it's clean. So then we can salvage the Bolton, play the Bolton, discard 2 cards, shuffle 3 clean cards back into their deck, and then play over the Bolton with like the helmet, use the helmet effect, get the Bolton again, play the Bolton again, shuffle 3 clean cards back into their deck, and then now they have 7 clean cards in their deck, and if they're at 3-0, then they're guaranteed dead because we just swing, and then they just take a lot of damage. So basically, by having Bolton in our deck, we force our opponent to never end the turn with like a small deck with no climaxes, because then they just immediately lose the game to Bolton. So like Bolton's really strong and punishes those specific instances, and it's really easy to set Bolton up in this deck, specifically with the helmet and stuff like that. You can also do a really cute play with the last card, which is of course Matsuri stock swap. And stock swap basically punishing our opponents when they have a lot of clean stock, or also when they have a lot of climaxes left in deck and their deck is smaller than the amount of stock. We just stock swap all the climaxes away. So you can also do a really cute play. Let's say they mill down to like 3 cards in deck and there's like 2 climaxes. What you can actually do is you play the Bolton to shuffle 3 climaxes back into their deck, and then you play the Matsuri to stock swap them. So now you like take out even more climaxes out of their deck and you force them into the refresh. So it's like, it's insane. So yeah, this is kind of like compression. So we have a lot of tools. Like we have tools to answer compression with the Noel as well. We have tools to deal extra damage when we cancel. We have tools to deal extra damage when we kill a character. There's just like so many crazy things we can do. We can like use like Toa to bring up a character and use Suisei to be able to get the reverse if we don't have like one of the Calliope or the Flares. So very fun toolboxy endgame, and they're all basically rare or below except for the Noel, who is a double rare. So like double rare, rare, TD card, and then like premium collection, which is like super cheap, uncommon, and then I guess this is a rare too. So very flexible, very fun endgame, and it's all yellow and blue, so no red needed. There is a pretty good red finisher, which is the 3-2 Choco, but we don't run any red in this deck. However, if you wanted to like change this into red and like do some other shenanigans, you could potentially fit enough red to run red cards in the top end, but I don't think it's necessary. I think yellow is really good because of the stock swap and the Watame, and also the Flare, and I think blue is really good because of Bolton. So I think these are our best 2 colors for our end game. So yeah, this is the 2023 best budget deck. Like again, this is basically majority just 2 Generation 4 TDs, and you just like pick these up for like dirt cheap. I think the most expensive card that you have to get outside of the trial deck is possibly the Aqua, depending if you're like buying these as singles. I think they're actually like decently expensive as singles. Otherwise, like maybe the Noel is a little expensive. probably not. And then like maybe these like premium collection cards, if you're like buying them as singles, they might be a little expensive. I'm not too sure. I haven't really checked the prices for this, but I'm sure this is actually like really cheap. This is like definitely, if you buy the TDs for like, let's just say you buy the TDs for $20, I'm pretty sure you can get the rest for like $10, right? So this is like a $50 deck at most, and this is assuming like $20 TDs. But you probably could get the TDs for even cheaper, depending on like if they're like opened or searched or whatever. Like, because all you really need is the cards. You don't really care about like the foils or whatever. So yeah, really cheap deck, really easy to build. I'm pretty sure like any local shop that has Weiss will have like generation TDs, and you can just build this really quickly. Yeah, and I think this is like a really strong deck that I would feel very comfortable taking to an actual like English tournament. I think I could do really well with this deck. I think this deck is really strong, like wins in a lot of matchups that traditionally even Quantum Marine would quote unquote struggle in, because we're like way more aggressive at level 1, and then we also have just the crazy toolbox at level 3 to deal with any situation. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hope this gives you some ideas into building some budget decks. I really enjoy building budget decks on this channel. I think that's a recurring thing. But also, if you're trying to get other people into Weiss and you have no idea how to kind of like where to start or how to like recommend them a deck, this is the deck to recommend for 2023, up until we get like a new set or something like Avatar or whatever. Like, this is the deck to go. So I hope, you know, lists like this pop up more often, just to see like new players coming into Weiss, just having a really easy entry point, and being able to just get straight into the game, learn the game, just have fun with it. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more Weiss Schwartz content. I'll actually be featuring this on the next play-by-play. That seemed to have pretty good reviews, so I'm excited to do another one, and I will definitely show off this deck and kind of how to pilot this one, and hopefully that's a great tutorial as well. Alright, so anyways, that's it for me today. Hope see you guys next time. Peace!